Marhaba, and welcome to the Matrix Green Pill, where real people connect.
Hello, and welcome back to the Matrix Green Pill podcast. Shireen back here again, and I will be your host this week. Our guest today started off as an 8-year-old with his guitar and a newfound love for music. Fast forward to 20 years, he is the man whose voice and jingles you can recognize from miles away. Of course, there is a lot more to Ahmad Haffar, who many of us know as the voice of Dubai. Today, we're going to find out what he is up to nowadays and what other exciting projects he's been working on. Ahmad, welcome and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Shireen, for such a beautiful introduction. I highly appreciate it, and I'm very much looking forward to this.
I'd love to start with getting to know a little bit of a background story on you and how you ended up here in the UAE, if you don't mind sharing.
Absolutely. The kind of person who loves doing things by himself from a very young age. I find a lot of people follow a lot of rules in life. I'm a non-rule applicable person unless required. And I found that a lot of studies require following the steps of others or following theories or following actual practical things from the field of medicine to the field of construction and so on and so forth. But I've always had a knack for music and sound in general, just something I liked. And I teach myself quite a lot of stuff, and I just like talking. I like making music. And my initial background is how I taught myself the English language by the age of 4, according to my mom, as no one in my family speaks English. We are all French educated, je parle français excellemment. And that's what we studied in school 14 years, so which is French. And English just sort of came into me because of the Cartoon Network and the likes. And from there on, I was a bit of a little Eminem by the age of 6, 7. I was really into rap and hip hop and music until my elder brother, the one right above me, bought a guitar, and I sort of fell in love with it. Like completely. So that's a bit of a background of how I initially got introduced to this. I come from a city, which is Tripoli, Lebanon, that is not as cultural or as art oriented as a proper city can be. And I felt very, very lonely during those times, and very alone, to be specific, as I'm not into Arabic music, even though I have made some for work. I've mainly focused on being more Western minded in a city that did not very much support that. That's a little bit of how I brought myself to focus on me the whole time. And as a lot of my articles and a lot of what I've been interviewed on has stated, I've indeed taught myself music. I do not know music theory. I do not know what a basic chord is, which is a bit of a joke compared to what actual musicians and bands can achieve. But I've done things my way, and I don't play in a band, not for like 15 years now. So no issues there. So there you go. It's a bit of a tiny bit of an introduction of how I started off, and I'll be slowly bringing it up and up during the conversation.
It sounds like you definitely had a very great learning, self-awareness and self-learning experience that for you to put yourself first and, make these decisions for yourself and how to put yourself in a situation that makes you happy. That's really great to hear. And of course, you gave us a little bit of a brief of how you got into this field, but how did you really get into this line of work once you did land here in the UAE? What were like the initial steps that you had to do?
A lot of what I've done was just based on gut feeling, a lot of luck and love from those who care for me, that I equally care for them, and not listening to what people tell me to do. And that's really it. Just whatever anyone would tell me to do, I would just not care. But that is a very subjective thing, as sometimes someone could be doing something wrong. The right advice from the right person can save a situation. It's just that in my particular world of music and sound and just art in general, I always believed that I was very good at what I do, even though I was told otherwise from the early age of 10 all the way to like 16. And that's when the game started changing. So before coming to the UAE, my initial start on all of this was mainly focusing on creating different types of art for myself. And then later on, I realized money is important. So at the age of 15 or so, I started helping people out in playing guitars and music. And because of that, I sort of focused on the money element throughout all of this. and making money with my art. But because I wasn't musically educated, I had nothing to teach someone. That was the initial issue that I had suffered from, because I couldn't teach someone something. I didn't know how to get them that kind of experience that one would learn in a conservatory, that one would learn in that kind of place. So I started teaching them, and this is my favorite part. I started teaching them something that is emotional. I started teaching emotions, which is funny, but I would tell them that, based on this and based on that, I'm going to give you an idea or a deeper understanding of this sort of thing throughout music. Can you believe that? Like, I actually convinced them that I am capable of letting them feel a piece of information. Because of this, I started teaching them emotions. I started teaching them how to feel an instrument rather than actually, follow the same routes that everybody does, which at that time wasn't really understood what I was trying to achieve. It wasn't given a green light by most people, but I did land a few people. And from there on, I sort of innovated something that I had no idea what I was doing, which is sort of like on a film scorer who watches a movie and tries to be like, okay, so this is what would fit here and there, but naturally. Even those kind of people are indeed musically educated in every way, shape, or form. I just sort of wasn't, to be honest with you. So this is how I initially started at that age before Dubai. And then I got sort of picked up because of one of my students in an audition that ended up being for a very famous Lebanese musician. And that's when I initially started making grounds, like actual grounds. And these actual grounds overtook everything before it, because I was making money right now. And this money was directly from creating an identity that is musical, rather than just like, oh, this artist has to be seen or be heard in a certain way. I just sort of came from a different place musically. And that's when I knew what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And from there, I came to Dubai when I was 19 after a horrible car accident that I survived from. That also pushed me to really push in a way like, okay, what am I afraid of? As I unfortunately lost two very, very good friends during that period of time. I got to Dubai thinking, this is the only chance I have, as I had no education. And according to my mother, only a month to find a job. Didn't really have a chance to say yes or no. It's like, okay, I got to find something. Indeed, when it comes to the steps that you're asking about, I got myself a normal job like anyone else. It was in the music field as a music playlist curator, basically, but it was boring. And it was a 9 to 6. And I know I was 19, but and I needed the money, and my brother knew the owner, so he was giving me a good salary, which I'm grateful for at the time. It just wasn't enough. I was bored and I was in a certain place all day. So when I first did that job for around a month and a half, I'm very quick. I just used to go anywhere. I used to sneak into places that I wasn't supposed to be in as I was under 21, but I found a way, because I'm not very interested in like drinking and stuff like that. I'm very focused on my career. And because of that, I met some incredible human beings that helped me shape my own identity by simply proving to them something rather than telling them what I can do, but rather, hey, let me show you that I am indeed who I say I am. And coming from the whole car accident and making music for famous Lebanese artists like Nancy Ajram and Elisa and others, I had an in within an Arab country that was thriving for new talent, thriving for new artists. And I found myself at the right place at the right time, to be very honest with you, all the way back in 2014, 2015. And I got fired from my job, even though the owner of that company is a very good friend of mine today. But at the time, I was just a rascal who didn't come on time, who left early because he had other opportunities to do. Yeah, it's the best decision I've ever made in my life. Because of that, I ended up convincing the right people to give me music projects, started off as jingles for TV and stuff, and ended up evolving into what I'm now known for today, sonic branding, which is not a jingle, but rather the entire identity of a brand incorporated in a few seconds of sound that is then adapted into different adaptations and platforms. And that is the hardest thing one can imagine musically. But due to the freedom that comes with it, and someone who happens to not have a musical education or an education in general, I found a way to deeply understand brands. And that's when my story genuinely began. That was around 21. Yeah, 21 and a half. That is really what I had to set up. What I had to set up is get out of my brother's house and rent an apartment to have some safety in my own head. And because of that, I got to that level in a way where I knew I was comfortable enough to survive, and my father supported me, which I'm very, very grateful for. It's just like when you get that first project, even if it's small, you're like, someone's willing to pay me 20,000 dirhams for this. That's 3 months of my salary. And you can make it in a week. That's when your brain sort of clicks in a way like, okay, why would I go back to that ever? Yeah, that was around 21. So that's really what I had to do. Just find the right way to get to the right people as fast as possible and not take no for an answer and let the proof of my product speak for itself rather than promises and whatever and whatever and whatever. And I did things for dirt cheap until I didn't have to. So there you go. That's a genuine introduction into my entry of the UAE, which has now genuinely become my home.
It's definitely a story for the books. First, I wanted to say that I'm very sorry to hear about your friends and the car accident that you've mentioned.
I love those guys. I mean, Ahmad, the one who was the passenger, he was a great guy as a human. And I'm not saying that because he passed away. He genuinely was. He was annoying at times, but when is a good friend not? But Ahmad, the driver, he was something else. He was my best friend since I was 5. He was a genius. And he was almost the only friend I had. Like, because I had a very good friend called Basil who traveled to Canada when we were all young. Ahmad was the only one in Tripoli who saw eye to eye on my vision, my ambition. He's one of the only people who never laughed at me. He laughed at me a lot, but not for the wrong reasons. Just because, I'm silly. But other than that, when I told him, okay, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do that, he's like, yeah, go for it. And when he saw me live with Nancy Ajram on TV, when I was just 16 and a half years old, he's like, yep, that's what I'm talking about. The guy spoke 5 languages at an early age. He was the top of his class without even trying. He was autistic. He was a ginger. He was something else. And to this day, I've never met anyone like Ahmed Deeb. He's still my closest friend in my heart. And a lot of people ask me, do I do this for him? He's in my heart. He is. But I've said bye to him a very long time ago. I also don't see him in my dreams anymore. Not for around 8-9 years. I still remember how his room smells like, as he had a bed that was just for me at that time. His mom bought me a bed because I used to sleep over so much. That's a little bit about what happened during that period. But I don't use it as like, oh, I almost died and I came out of it. No, I almost died a few times. There's a bunch of stuff I don't want to talk about, but it's happened a bunch of times. If it wasn't for my brother rescuing me from, a stray bullet one time because of Lebanon and a bunch of other stuff. So I know how it feels to almost lose it all in a second. So what am I doing? Wasting time. Honestly, like sometimes you might be put in a place where you have to wait. For example, waiting for my golden visa. Literally as we speak, I have no other place to go. I'm forced to be here because, they're doing me such a great favor. But other than that, it's wherever you don't feel right, just please move on. Because if you don't feel unbelievably uncomfortable, you will not do something about it. And it's just that simple. We are an ecosystem as human beings. And it's not about motivating someone in the right way. It's about motivating you in the right way through speaking a message that matters to you. That's the basis of who I am as a human being, as a core, as I believe everything on top of the core can be taken out and put in a modular sense, but the core can never be changed. Once you lock that in, that's really who you are. I guess that's the whole point of the green pill, right?
It's great to hear that you still hold them so highly. I'm not sure how many years it's been that you said that it's been since the accident and since your loss. Wow, that is a very, very long time. But it's great that you take it as something to motivate you to live your life to the fullest. As you said, you've had your grasps with death, which is obviously something that you hear a lot of people, once they do go through something like that, they take a look at their life and they're like, okay, if I'm not going to be doing what I want to do and I'm not enjoying it, then what am I really doing here? What's the point?
The funny part is that a lot of people want to make money. That's their focus. They don't understand. They don't know how to separate a good product from money. They think that money comes when they work hard, which is a big lie. A lot of people work very, very hard, 100 times harder than me, even though I work 24/7. I'm talking about people who get nothing in return in terms of monetary value. And a lot of people who do very little and make a lot because they strategize it in the right way and with the right mentality and utilizing social media as a weapon rather than a platform. That's what I believe is, I wouldn't say wrong with the world. I would say good job on those guys. I'm actually proud of them. It's incredible that they sorted themselves out for their generations to come once they get married and get kids. But the young millionaires and that are coming out in their 20s right now. And when I compare myself to them, which I don't, thank God, I just think to myself, okay, I'm worth a few million, but what's the point of it if I don't really find a way to utilize these funds or these assets to actually grow myself first, which can then quadruple or whatever my amount, and not just from money, but from leaving a legacy. So being a legacy-oriented human being, just because I like it, I like the drama of it. I always wanted to make music for movies and stuff like that and to have an impact on wherever I am. And because Dubai is the only opportunity I've had so far, this is where I've reached. And I don't know, in the next coming 10 years, as I'm turning 28 tomorrow, you're catching me on the last day of 27, I am aiming for a lot more. But what I've accomplished in the past 2.5 years has been fundamentally insane compared to what I've done my entire life, which proves that most of my life I was preparing for my launch, which just started a few years ago, of extremely hard hard work. Like I actually do not remember how my life was before I reached a certain stage anymore, which I believe is a defensive mechanism that my brain is trying to conceal from me in order for me to see a better vision. And the vision isn't in what you accomplish, but it's in what you do for yourself in order for you to accomplish. So that's the message that I try to push out as much as possible, because people consume so much media today. It's quite ridiculous, to be honest. And how do you stick into one's head if you are not what you believe in? People follow you or listen to you or whatever it is that they do because you have something of value. And that value of valor is what puts you up front. That's pretty much what I genuinely believe deep down. It's not the money. It's not the power, even though those two feel incredible, which not enough people say. Being financially independent is unlike anything. But everything I have today is enough for the next 5 to 10 years maximum. So when am I going to have enough for 50 years? And then for my grandchildren, if I get kids and I want to take care of those too. So that's really where it comes down to. As human beings, we have a clock. And during that clock, which everyone is succumbed to, every single human on the planet is succumbed to it. What are you going to do at that time? I don't find virtue anywhere other than music. So I make it. And my understanding with it is if I'm not going to be the best of it, then why try? And that's my mentality. And now I've reached, factually speaking, the biggest sonic branding portfolio in the Middle East. And I'm 27 because of the past 6 years of working extremely hard nonstop. And if that doesn't inspire enough people, then I genuinely don't know what will, especially in the field that I'm interested in.
One of the things that I'm taking out of what you just said as well is that you said that the last 2 years have been pretty much the highlight of your life so far, and what you've achieved in the last 2 years, it doesn't compare to the past. And that makes me think about how everyone has their own timeline. And that's something that I think a lot of young folks nowadays don't really understand. There's this kind of like pressure that you have to get everything done within a certain timeline, but every single individual has their own path. I mean, you are, I guess, a prime example of that, yeah, okay, 27, you feel that you've achieved what you did in the last 2 years. And it's not, oh, I have to be at a certain stage before I'm 30. You are just working and taking it day by day and pushing yourself to your max without comparing to other people or what other people are doing at the same age, or what they've achieved at the same age. I think that's really important for everyone who's listening.
Absolutely. I mean, look, it's sort of like everyone has to drive, but most people are afraid of supercars because they're very fast. But here's another fact about supercars. They're unbelievably safe. So it's about how you drive them, but what kind of ship are you into? What's your body like? What can it handle? What is it made out of? How have you customized your body and mind to ride in a certain way? Because you're all on the same highway. Whether you like it or not, you're all literally on the same highway. I'm a supercar that sometimes going very, very fast, sometimes is going chill out. But both ways, I'm designed for both purposes. Sometimes I have to, go a little bit slower over bumps because I'm so low, because I'm a supercar. But at the end of the day, the values that have been incorporated within me in terms of detail is a lot more than a basic Toyota. That's how I see it. And that's why I drive supercars, not to show off, because they're incredible pieces of. That's something that one can utilize in real life as well. I mean, there's so much that I've done that I didn't say no to, and stuff that I wasn't very good at. I'm not trying to be the jack of all trades. I am a jack of all trades and a master of a few, and that's enough. I'm not in real estate. I'm not in investing. All of my friends, they want to hit me physically because I don't invest my money anywhere. I just like looking at it. Oh, but you can have 10 times more. Oh, you can, by the time you're 50, you can have 100 million. I'm like, what for, dude? My mom lives in a brand new house I bought her. My dad is infinitely grateful for everything I've done for him. I'm the richest person in my family, both factually in terms of money and also as a human being. And I don't go to my family flexing that as if I'm better than them. I'm not better than anyone. Actually, if it wasn't for them, I'd be nobody today. I take care of them. They take care of me. They're all in their respective fields doing what they're doing. And here I am in mine. But when I tell them, oh, you're probably going to see me in Hollywood movies in a few years, they don't laugh at me anymore. Now they're like, okay, what do you feel like being in? That's the kind of respect I earned. And that's worth $100 million, probably more. So that's what people don't understand, is that they're looking at Lamborghinis and Ferraris. Those are just a bunch of toys, people. They're just a bunch of toys. They're not even practical. I drive them. They're not, I don't drive a Lamborghini. I absolutely not like that brand. Sorry, Lamborghini. I just don't. It's all about who you are as a human. And I put those values in front of me. It's not about putting one goal, looking at it again and again and again. It's about putting one goal, looking at it once in a while, and then focusing on you throughout that road. People say you wake up every single day and look at the photo of your favorite car or your favorite house. What are those? What are you going to do when you're there? You can drive the car for a few hours and then you're going to get tired. You go to the house, you're going to sleep and then you're going to want to go out. Who are you? I go and make people happy. I go on stage for 5 minutes. I make everybody's day. Do I get paid for it? Of course I do. And I charge like 10 times more than I used to charge just for the fun of it. It's easy passive income. There's absolutely nothing wrong with passive income. I get paid for my businesses. I get paid passively. I do projects on the side. What's wrong with my life aspiring to do 100 times more? No, I'm doing acting. I'm doing a stand-up special with Stars Play that I'm announcing here for the first time, by the way.
Let's talk about that. You're doing what with Stars Play?
So ever since I was 15, 16, I've been a massive fan of free speech and being in love with people like George Carlin, Bill Burr, Louis C.K. and others. I always believed in just believing it's all about logic. And obviously the whole controversy of the Me Too movement where Louis C.K. got strangled in that as well, which I'm very sorry to hear, both for him and whatever victims have suffered from, which is none of my business to speak about. But I know the internet uses it to make, hits here and there, but I'm not big enough. So I'm allowed to say these things and not get canceled yet. But I'm massive into like stand-up comedy. I find it hilarious to just speak your mind and how hilarious life is as a whole. So because of that, I've been doing it for a long time for fun here and there. I stopped for a few years, but it's all in my head. But I decided to create a stand-up special with Stars Play that is about me being the voice of Dubai in my normal life compared to other people's normal life in Dubai, in the UAE, and mix that with a bunch of real life stuff and real life stories. I've written a 1 hour special that's quite hilarious. That is mostly in my head. I'm actually writing it right now.
So it sounds a bit like a documentary on you almost, or like a reality show mixed with comedy.
It's a special that is hilarious. It's called Ahmad Haffar, rated R. It's a lot of dirty stuff in there. It's a lot of dirty stuff, but I am making a small video telling everybody these are all jokes, chill down. That's mainly it. But what I've actually aspired to do is to get into acting properly and straight up to Hollywood. I don't want to do any Arab-oriented acting, just straight to Hollywood. And I know that I have what it takes because I've been speaking English before Arabic. I mean, for God's sake, my mom can go on camera and validate what I'm saying. And she's willing to. She jokingly says it all the time. Like, let them come interview me. I'll tell them your first words were English. And we still don't know why. I just always wanted to be American ever since I was a kid. That's why I do McDonald's and Nature Valley. And that's why I created these tones and voices for these brands that I know directly, which is, again, why I am the voice of Dubai, why I've used that title. Well, actually, it was given to me, to be honest with you, by Gulf News initially. And I decided to continue with it because it's true. And I loved their synopsis on it, their breakdown. Oh, yeah, you actually help the brands create the tones. They sign you for a certain period of time. No other freelance voiceover does that. And the reason why I have that ability is mainly because I own the company that provides the service. So all these clients, all these brands are my friends.
For sure. We have to talk about Mindloop Studio, which is the company that I'm assuming you're talking about. If you could give us a bit of a background story on that, what inspired you to start? What do you do? I know you've already mentioned it a little bit, but yeah, let's put the focus light on that right now.
Sure. I was a freelancer. I got big. I worked on some major brands like Majid Al Futtaim. When you go to Vox Cinema or whatever, even all the Emirates, the music is in the background. It's a 5-minute piece on repeat that I got inspired from Disney. All those, very like Frozen soundtracks and whatever. They're actually quite beautiful and they're incredibly well made, detail wise. I did a bunch of those projects and they got famous. And I wasn't aiming for them to get famous. I was aiming to make the client incomprehensibly happy with something new and fresh. And it worked. And from there, I knew that I had to grow on a higher level because I have collaborated with other studios in this region. As I've collaborated with the studios in this region, I found a way to understand myself from that perspective. I genuinely did. So at that point, because those started working out for me, I knew that I was limited as a me. I turned the me into a we. That was genuinely what I decided to do. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to just be on my own. But I didn't know how to run a company or start a company or even the essence of business. And by complete mistake or luck, this is the luck element, I met Ahmad Haffar, the founder of Mindloop Studios, in 2001 when he opened the very first audio production houses in the entirety of Dubai. And he's a lovely guy. He's a very, very nice guy. And I told him what I wanted to do. So he hired me. And after 2 months of being the production manager in Mindloop, we moved on with our agreement of me becoming a partner. And he actually let me become a partner straight up. I put everything I had in there, from money, energy, love, you name it. And I went in. I went all in only at Hardee's, or should I say with Mindloop.
Wow. It's kind of crazy that you can do that. It's almost like unreal. Like, how can a person change their voice like that?
Oh, you should hear what I've done with music. I've done tiny 3-second melodies that literal millions sing. It's insane. And I do that. And I just craft things from zero. It gave me that higher perspective, that vantage point. Is when I started running a business with Ahmad, who helped me through every single bit of it. I made a lot of mistakes, from financial issues to everything. It was all my fault mainly. But then I remade the company in its new image. I hired a new team. Some of them weren't very good, so I had to change them. That was a hard decision to make. And I was always the youngest person in my own company. So I'm like, how do you be a boss to someone? And then I'm like, okay, let me be the good guy. Didn't work out. Let me be the bad guy. That didn't work out. And then I figured it out. Let me be respectful. And once I figured that out at the age of 24, there was no going back. I knew what I had to do. So I regrew the company from zero. First, I had a small share of it. Then I had more. Now I have most of it. And I fell in love with the place. I started going to clients. And I started having direct communication with agencies, which I did not as a freelancer. It was mostly the clients I could get my hands on, including Mindloop Studio. So because of that, I worked on those through studios, but now I have my own. And not only just any studio, but a 20-year-old production house that's already known and respected in the market. How amazing is that? So I skipped around 30 steps because of luck and because I had some money to invest. I couldn't go to the guy and be like, hey, give me this. Why would he? Why would anyone? I wouldn't give even 1% of my company to anybody unless they had something to give me in return that was 10 times fold. This is how business functions. And because I'm good in communication and I'm good with people and I'm respectful and I'm talented and I'm full of life and I'm full of love and I genuinely don't care what people think, which is true. I have a lot of hate around me. I still laugh at it. Sometimes it hurts, but then I'm like, what's hurting me? What do I care about? I look at my companies. I look at what I've achieved. I look at Mindloop Studios' growth. And what did I do? I started making the place the best it can be. Homier than ever. New equipment, a proper team, pure love, very good voiceovers that are all over the place in terms of their capabilities and their love for their own passion. I created a new vetting system. And this system is what changed the game. What do we do in Mindloop? We do everything audio, post-production, sound production, music, jingles, sonic branding, voiceover production, 5.1 mixing, cinema mixing, you name it, we do it. And there's a lot of that going around. So instead of just reaching out and cold calling people, I just went there with the right smile, with the right joke, with the right people, and with the right respect. From the smallest soldier all the way to the owner of the company, I'm the same person. And bit by bit, I started getting more known. And because of Mindloop, I had to save money, right? Because I run a company now. I need to find a way to cut costs. So what did I do? Because I used to do voiceovers as a freelancer, just to tell clients whether or not something can fit here and that, minus a few jobs that I got here and there, I started realizing, you know what? If I go to a client, promise them that I can do certain types of voiceovers for them and charge them less, I don't have to pay a freelancer. So I can still make my usual returns, my usual profits, but I'd have nobody to pay, but I'd have to do it myself. So I started doing that. And that's how I grew Mindloop properly. I started doing so much voices with my, jobs with my voices that I was saving the company money. People were like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, making money. So, but different brands have different requirements, different tonalities, different backgrounds. But I'm Lebanese, who speaks English, Arabic, and French, who has an American accent, a more Arabized accent like this when I speak. You know, and I speak America, I speak English, and and Arabic. My Arabic and English are very good. Or I can be as American as possible. So when you have those kind of diversities naturally, quand tu parles français, et je parle français avec toi maintenant, and then you have العربي الفصحى and العربي الطبيعي, and then you have اللبناني. أنا لبناني. And in the Lebanese, I would say, يا لبنان بجنونك بحبك, which was on a massive campaign. Basically, I started crafting custom-made voices for brands, charging them less, but forcing them to sign me for a certain period of time where they're like, okay, we're saving money. We have someone consistent. And at the same time, we trust them. We trust me. They trust me. So let's go ahead and use this voice for 6 months. 6 months turned to a year turned to 2 years. And then I started doing famous voices just because I wanted to. I would reach out to brands and tell them, you know what? I want my voice on this, even if it's minuscule. I just want it on it. And they'd be like, okay, but we don't need to change anything with this right now. IVR or Metro or whatever. We don't need you. Why do you want to do this? I'm like, because of 1, 2, 3. And the 1, 2, 3 is my little tiny secret. And they're like, okay, now we get it. And then I did it. It's all part of the massive thing. But they'd be like, Ahmad, why? Why? So people can trust me more. Because I proved to them instead of telling them. There was no saying anything in this process. Just, hey, trust me based on my value and worth and portfolio and how I innovated this portfolio. Because when I say My American Town for McDonald's, and then the middle, which is the Siemens, The UAE and Siemens has combined forces, and then all the way down to Mall of the Emirates, Dubai Expo 2020, and Emirates. This is Dubai. Or any of them. Why did I do any of these? It's to show people what you can do. And at the same time, because I built a school around it that proves to people that you can achieve your dreams on an experience-based level and make money from it. And that's my second company, OnThefield Academy. So that's what Mindloop does. And that's how OnThefield Academy was born. Because I found something that doesn't exist in the market. I reinvented, or I am currently in the process of reinventing the internship. Pretty insane, I know. Sometimes I have to literally pinch myself damn, I came up with this stuff. But why? Out of necessity. Was I thinking of the Ferraris? No, I wasn't. I really wanted a few. Hell yeah. But I wasn't it's either this or that. No. My mom and dad were my priority. Paying my rent was priority. Now I have my own house, which I'm lucky in. It's a humble 1-bedroom, but hell, it's mine. I can probably buy a villa if I liquidate a few assets. But what do I need if I'm having my birthday party tomorrow? I'm going to have 30 people in a tiny 1-bedroom. But those are all people that love me. They won't care if they have to hang out at the bathroom. Keep the right people around you, thinking that anyone's better than you. And social media is horrible. It's a horrible platform that takes advantage of people. And I don't use it as much. That's why I don't have many followers. Millions know me. But what do I have on Instagram? 3,000? What do I have on TikTok? 12,000? Think I care? I can do a few campaigns and get that to hundreds of thousands. But why? More exposure? Why? From who? People I don't know? I have enough of that, thank God. I'm good. I go to a restaurant, they don't have a table. I'll do my thing, get a table. That's all I need, It's a personality growth thing. But business is where it goes back to because it's the green pill, something that's actually good for you.
That's kind of how the idea for the green pill, obviously it got inspired from the Matrix movie. And considering that we are also the Matrix green pill, it's just a different take on the red and the blue, keeping kind of the essence. Yeah. I mean, of course, you've done so many incredible things and it's definitely an inspiration to many. I know you did say that, you have haters and people that don't necessarily agree with what you say or what you think.
No, not even that. Shireen, I wish it was that simple. People saying I haven't done the things I've said I've done. And I laugh at that. I don't have the proof for it, but I have nothing to prove to anyone. It's just hilarious. There are hundreds of voiceovers. Why am I the voice of the mind? Because I do what I do. And it's because I believed in myself to get myself here. I'm not a freelancer who works a job at a school and then, does some voices on the side. No, I've dedicated my entire life for art. It's on a completely different level. So I don't really call them even haters. I call them people who don't see things in a certain perspective. And that's a problem with the Middle East. That's why I'm in the UAE, because they're thinking ahead. I'm not saying others aren't. Everyone's got their own journey. But I'm saying here, there's proof. And that's what I'm about. I look at my bank account when someone said they've transferred an amount of money. If it's in there, it's in there. If it's not, how would I know they have? They sent me a transfer slip. Okay, cool. Well, where's the money? Where's the proof? Show me the proof. I want proof all the time. That's all I care about. More proof. Oh, I can do this. I can do this. Okay, proof. Show me proof. And that's what my clients ask me for.
Yeah, put your money where your mouth is.
100%. I don't think to myself in any way other than, you know what? This is who I am and this is my journey. And I'm proud of myself for it. And I help people, even the same people that speak badly about me. And I'm happy to say this publicly. I pay them. They work for me, not in my company, but as freelancers. They work for everybody. We all work for everybody. I work for my brands. They work for the studios. We're all there to support each other. But yet again, when someone's been doing something for 20 years and someone's been doing it for a few years, just because I did it in a new way, I earned my recognition. That's the difference. People can do whatever they want. That's the incredible part about life. They can literally do whatever they want. But when they have a wife and kids and responsibilities, they're limited. I understand. I'm single, happily single. And that's all I want. I want to keep focusing on my career and keep growing and keep advising people in the right way. I want to get into acting. I want to make movies for music for movies, major movies. I'm planning on collaborating with Hans Zimmer. Who gets to say that?
So I guess you've basically answered my question, which was going to be, what are some of your future goals? And I know you've given us little Easter eggs here and there about Hollywood and, as you said, writing music for movies and such.
It's going to be an insane year and you're going to be driving on Sheikh Zayed Road.
Okay, so this year you're already...
Oh yeah. You're going to be driving down Sheikh Zayed Road and you're going to be like, oh my God, look at him. He's here now.
He's everywhere. I can't escape him.
You won't be able to avoid my face anymore.
Yeah.
Sure, but now it's the face. Because when you put it forward and you think of you, then you put yourself in a way where people can't deny it. That's it. That's really it.
It's almost kind of creepy a little bit. I'm not going to lie. It's kind of creepy that you sound like a completely different person and you can change it 3 times in one sentence. And I'm like, whoa, it's cool, but also kind of mind blowing. What's happening right now?
My mom came from Lebanon 2 days ago because she was in France for a long time at my sisters, my lovely sisters. She came to Lebanon, to Dubai, a few days ago. And when I saw her for the first time before yesterday, my mom's always loved me from the bottom of her heart because I'm the youngest. I'm the kid who's been through a lot. But like that hug hit different. And her coming on Emirates Airlines and hearing my voice, like I physically couldn't believe that was you. And I did it in front of her and all of her relatives that already know what I'm up to. Even my relatives who've known me for 20 plus years, who I only see when my mom's in town because I'm so busy. I don't have time to go to Sharjah. What the hell? And even their friends that come, he's like, a relative of mine, Ali, is like, oh, let me introduce you to Ahmad. One of his friends like, what do you mean introduce? That's the voice of Dubai. What is he doing in your house? And I started laughing. I'm like, he's my relative. And that's the kind of vibe, that kind of joy and happiness and smile that I give to people. That's it. That's what I care about. I'm addicted to making people happy and making myself happy at the same time.
I guess that kind of also brought me to personal thing that I was wondering about. Obviously, a lot of people know your voice, but maybe not everyone knows the actual physical appearance of you and what you look like. So maybe people, when they meet you, they can recognize you by voice, like the same like your relatives.
That's why I'm working on my media right now. That's why I'm telling you, you're going to see my face everywhere, is because usually the voice and the face don't matter. Look, most voiceovers don't care about how they look like because they don't do this for other than, oh, I like doing it. And they're talented. There's incredibly talented people out there. But this is more than that. This is about innovation. This is about creation. This is about growth. This is beyond doing a bunch of voices or a bunch of jingles.
Right. But it's also that you feel comfortable being in front of a camera. And I guess maybe that's something that not everyone is. Like they have that talent, but maybe they don't want to be in the public eye in that way.
I was on stage when I was 16 and a half years old, almost 17 years old, on 3 different concerts, including Al-Hamza and Nancy Ajram. The way I performed, look, when you watch stars play, you'll understand. I'm made for the stage. I'm made for the public. I'm just one of those. I do podcasts from small to big ones. I do TV interviews. I do anything that I have to do in order for me to send out the right message and keep the narrative as clean as possible. But I really genuinely do not care for my jingles and my voice as much as my career.
I can definitely tell that you have that confidence, that you're very confident in your abilities and you know what you want and you're very head forward, going in the direction that you want to go in, what your capabilities are. And that's really, really good. And say that even at the end of their life, that they really know what their full potential is. From our conversation, I can tell that you do. You found that within yourself. That's a really beautiful thing.
What I can tell you is no matter who hears this and who agrees, disagrees, whatever, life is full of opinion. All I know is that we've all got around 70 or 80 years on this planet. That might seem like a long time, but it's really not. We all go through a lot of ups and downs. You can't let bad decisions get in the way. So don't try to not make any. Don't let anger take over. Don't let frustration take over. Don't let being broke take over. If I'm broke tomorrow, which is very possible to any of us, I would be still more happy to be able to do anything. You know what I mean?
That's great advice for sure.
Just do whatever you're good at. Just keep growing what you're good at. And that's the thing, all of these motivational speeches and whatever, they make literal millions, if not billions these days, because people are just so lost. Just live your life. I mean, I have no free time and you'll hear about it in my stand-up special. I literally have no free time. I keep jumping from one thing to another, but I get so carried away because I love talking. I love sending the right messages and everything. I'm a very emotional person. I'm a very sensitive person. People's words do get to me. And that's when I made that shift between, I don't really care what these people think or whatever. But some people, their entire career is focused on, I'm a famous voice or I'm a this or I'm a that. That's all that they are. And I find that to be hilarious. Dude, you keep riding the same wave. Didn't you feel like trying another beach on a planet full of beaches? Aren't you curious enough to just go out there and try other? I've met some ridiculously rich people. I can assure you, Shireen, they're not that cool. Not as much as you think. They're actually quite boring. And when I was told that when I was young, I'm like, nah, they're probably living a great life. They are. But they're boring too. And that's the truth.
But then I think it comes down to comfort zones. I think what happens to a lot of us is whether you're rich or not, some people don't have that push to get out of that comfort zone that they are in. Whether they're unhappy or whether they're happy, it doesn't really matter. It's just that it's easier than to actually push themselves to do something that they're not familiar with.
You said everything yourself. This is entirely what matters. I matter. You matter, Shireen. We all matter. But when a lot of voiceovers say, I'm overshadowing all of your work. How exactly? How am I overshadowing anybody's work? I'm speaking about my work, my life, my story, my portfolio, my innovations, my companies. This is all about what I'm doing in my life for me and others. I'm not just doing a job and I'm getting paid X amount for it and then moving on to another studio and another client. No, I go and I assist the client actually get growth through a piece of music that will make their identity much bigger, through a voice that will solidify their audience's perception of them. This is on a much deeper level than a bunch of jobs. Okay, this is the brief. This is what the client wants. This is this, this is that. And then they're like, okay, I'm going to do my best. A bunch of jokes here, a bunch of jokes there. Half an hour later, they're on to doing something else. That's not what I'm doing.
Right. You're more personalized towards each job. You put your heart into it in a different way than just doing it because you have to do it. And that's that. You're trying to give more to it. I mean, you have an incredible story. And I know we could probably talk about your life forever. There's so many things I want to ask. But now, just to play a little fun game that we like to do, we have this rapid fire question game show. Obviously, I feel like you're not going to have any issues with this. There are just 3 questions. Are you ready to play?
Let's do it.
Okay. Can you describe yourself in 5 words? Just 5.
Ambitious, driven, dedicated, focused. There's that one word I keep forgetting. I always say it as delicacy, but I know it's something else. What is it? What is that last word I always forget? Disciplined. Done.
Perfect. Okay, great. Next question. If you had a choice to star in anything, in any movie, in any commercial, anything you wanted, what would it be?
It would be the movie I'm pitched for right now, which is with Jonah Hill, which I'm probably going to win. And it's going to be an incredible movie. I can't wait to start on it. And even if I don't get it, now I know what I can do. So most probably I would be in a romantic comedy or a drama comedy, something comedy related. I can probably pull off a lot more, but that would be within the mixture of the movie itself.
What is your favorite thing to do by yourself?
Drive my cars.
Very nice. Well, thank you for playing along. I guess now we are in the part of the long anticipated green pill moment. Ahmed, what was your green pill moment? The action or event that was the turning point for you or your career?
I still had to ask my dad for money after 21 years old. That was unacceptable. My dad paid $92,000 like the same day of my car accident, which was mostly his entire life savings of the past 15 years. You know, that I had to pay him back in full because I don't think I need to give a reason for that one.
Yeah. I mean, wow, that is a huge amount of money.
And you know what's the best thing about this? I'm so honest. I'm not like saying something to have a certain reaction for people. It's just so funny what people try to do to win other people over. I'm just like, look, I'm not going to say it's sad, but it's sad. If you have an incredible story, great. If not, go make one.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much, Ahmed. I really genuinely enjoyed this conversation. And there are some really great pieces of advice that you've shared that I'm sure a lot of people that watch you and are inspired by you will genuinely take to heart.
Look, I'm doing social media now. So Ahmad Haffar official, Instagram and TikTok. Let's get them to at least...
Yeah, let's grow those followers even though you don't care about it. But let's do it anyway.
I care to an extent, as everyone should, because those are real people who are watching my life. And there's nothing wrong with it because I happen to be more entertaining than most people out there, especially to people who want genuine entertainment. It's all about understanding you. And to anyone hearing this thinking, oh, he's such a show off, I'm sorry, you don't live a cool life.
And what was your TikTok and Instagram so that we could let them know?
Ahmad Haffar official or Voice of Dubai. On TikTok, you won't find me as Voice of Dubai. They didn't let me put it there. Not that they didn't let me. You can either put Ahmad Haffar or Voice of Dubai. And I'm much more than the Voice of Dubai. So even though I'm so honored by that, by the way, and I'm doing a lot of stuff for the government, which I can't tell you about, but you'll know. Yeah, so just Voice of Dubai on Instagram and Ahmad Haffar official or Ahmad Haffar official on Instagram. And it's so, on TikTok. And it's so funny that a lot of people use the word official. Like the only reason why I'm using the word official is because I want you to know that this is a business rather than just me personally. So like, please stop slapping official on everything because it doesn't matter and none of us matter. I don't matter. And just understand that the moon, you can't even reach the moon for God's sake. There's a whole universe around you. So please go all the way down, buddy. I'm not Mr. Official. Grow your businesses, grow yourself. And the richest people on the planet, no one knows anything about them.
Okay. Wow. I'm sure you're going to really get some people upset with some of the things you've said, but I love the fact that you're unapologetically yourself and you actually don't care what people think. That is very different to a lot of the people that you meet nowadays. So thank you so much. Once again, genuinely enjoy this conversation.
Thank you so much. Yeah, be yourself, Shireen. And always remember, Air Arabia, we're next. Honestly, we're next in your life. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you enjoy our conversations, please like and subscribe. See you next Wednesday.